Guys, we are on a quest to beat every English PS1 game that was ever made. That's right, every last one of them. From the fan favorites like Crash Bandicoot and Resident Evil, to the Disney releases like Hercules and Monsters Inc. Yes, we're even going to play that too. This journey will be hard and long. Oh, wait, I didn't mean it like that. The path to completion will be firm and massive. I hope you can join us on this epic journey as we monitor stress levels and lock in for an intense ride to a PS1 completionist. Game number 7 will be SpongeBob SquarePants SuperSponge. SpongeBob SquarePants SuperSponge was released on September 20th, the year 2001 for the PS1 and as well as the Game Boy Advance. It was developed by a company called Climax Group located in Portsmouth, England, and was also published by the highly touted company THQ that was located in Calabasas, California. Wait. Before we start, can we just... it gets me every time. Now this game was an instant classic, well, at least for me. I would say that SpongeBob had to be about 55 to 60% of my childhood, and this game was a part of that 55 to 60%. This game gives off crazy Game Boy vibes, and if I hadn't played it before and known it was also on the PS1, I would have figured that the Game Boy was the only console available for this game. When you get to the start screen, it shows a nice backdrop of Squidward, Patrick, and SpongeBob's homes in the depths of Bikini Bottom. Loading up the game, we are met with how the story will play out. We find out that SpongeBob was in search of the best birthday present for his best friend and forever buddy Patrick Star, and we would have to complete levels to make sure that happens. After a little consideration, SpongeBob realizes that nothing would be better of a present than a signed photo of their favorite superheroes being Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. The retired superheroes are found at Shady Shoals and tell SpongeBob if he can get them ingredients to make a magnificent sandwich, they may consider it. And with that being said, we were off for our first task. We were going to have to make our way through some intense levels avoiding sea-dwelling creatures and traps trying to find sea nut butter, tomatoes, lettuce, and jelly. Tomatoes on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Gross. Jellyfish Fields is where we found ourselves, and man, this place has loads of sea creatures trying to ruin Patrick's birthday present. These crabs and weird elongated slugs did crazy damage at times. A good thing about this though was that you were able to get your first weapon of defense being a jellyfishing net. The net was used to catch the surrounding flying jellyfish and launch them at the slugs and crabs, defeating them in one blow. The net was a little clunky though because the jellyfish didn't go far at all and you had to be right on top of the creatures for the jellyfish to hit. Also in this game, as long as you had one spatula, which I guess kinda acted like coins, you would not die and waste a life. But if you were to take damage with 0 spatulas, then you would die and have to start over at the checkpoint. Getting hit by a creature also caused the spatulas to explode out your body, but the game allowed a few seconds for them to be picked back up again before they disappeared. We weaved our way through the sea creatures and got our first ingredient being the jar of sea nut butter. Next in Sandy's tree dome, we would get the kelp lettuce while avoiding acorns dropping from branches. We also had to jump in these big pools of water because SpongeBob must have forgotten his water bowl. Fish Hook Park was a fun one as well, but was also tricky because of these yellow flying ink squids that would dart towards your direction, making it tough to avoid. Jumping on these fish lures made them fall fast at times, and I thought SpongeBob learned his lesson about these hooks. Ultimately though, we got the tomatoes and jelly and had to fight the jellyfish boss to get the bread and finish this odd sounding sandwich. Now this boss fight was a bit of a doozy. We had to use the net to throw the small jellyfish at the big jellyfish while avoiding the electric strikes, but the mechanics made it a bit difficult because the jellyfish you shot out went a whole 2 feet in the air. We defeated him though and made the sandwich to bring back to the old superheroes. When we arrived back at the Shady Shoals retirement home, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy were both sound asleep, but Barnacle Boy awakens and says that is a sandwich fit for a superhero. Next we were tasked with going into the deep dark tunnels underneath Bikini Bottom. Here there was a really cool coral blower that would suck up coral and shoot it at walls to knock it down. It was heavy though and made us fall in a few traps when we tried to jump over obstacles. Also, we would find the bubble blowing mechanic, where we would blow our own bubbles to reach other obstacles, and we would have to fight these weird purple squid looking creatures. I wonder if they are related to Squidward. The karate hand and also the jellyfish gun were by far my two favorite abilities to have. They made defeating these crabs and squid a breeze. I wonder if Sandy and SpongeBob still have beef at who's better at karate. Rolling on this barrel though, the lava was really cool as well. We had to be super careful though so we wouldn't be smashed by these skull stones. Our next boss fight would be this giant mechanical fish thing. The jellyfish gun here would become our best friend. We had to avoid these bombs and also had to dodge his fast running attack. It was fairly simple though because you could easily retrieve more spatulas to avoid death. We defeated the giant fish and returned back to Shady Shoals. SpongeBob barges through the door screaming like Tarzan, which was kinda funny, and the superheroes say they need new uniforms now, but we need to use Plankton's time machine to go back in time to the prehistoric days. I wonder if we would run into SpongeGar and Patar. Plankton lets us use it, and here we would find yet another ability being the balloon, which makes you float across a longer distance. These set of levels were extremely tricky though because spikes were perfectly placed. We got some clothing items while defeating yet more crabs and squids when we come to another boss fight being another evil looking fish that has to be stomped on to be defeated. Each stomp makes his body smaller and smaller each time. More spikes were in awful spots, and if you jumped on the bouncy tire in the center of the platform, you could bonk your head upon them. I like how in the background it had dead fishes that were just bones. It made the boss fight a little bit more immersive. After plopping on the giant blue fish multiple times, we defeated him and brought back Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy their new uniforms. When arriving back at Shady Shoals for like the third time, the superheroes attempt to hide from SpongeBob by disguising themselves as a floor lamp and a coffee table. Geez, if they would just autograph a picture, SpongeBob wouldn't have to go through all this trouble. Anyways, Barnacle Boy now says all he wants is a kelp bar, and SpongeBob is yet on another journey. We needed to go through 4 more levels, and we had to find these rock bottom vending machines that would contain the kelp bar that Barnacle Boy desperately wanted. These levels were probably the hardest of them all. These spiky sea urchins laid in spots to where if you hit them you would lose all your spatulas. Also, the dreaded crabs were back, and they seemed to be my kryptonite when it came to this game. On the rock bottom graveyard level, we got to use the jellyfish gun again and had to fight these ghosts and dead fishies. Also, these dead human skulls would fly at you. Interesting to have a human skull in the game. Every level had a broken vending machine that would eat SpongeBob's coin until we got to the level where we would come in contact with the evil Flying Dutchman whom resides in Davy Jones's locker. And this was actually a fun fight. We had the jellyfish gun, which is always a good weapon, and had to dodge the Dutchman's swing attack. The audio or something had to be off on this level because the Dutchman just kept repeating himself, "Bet your lily white livers I'm the Flying Dutchman." Jeez man, we get it. We defeated the Dutchman and finally found the vending machine that contained the one kelp bar that Barnacle Boy just had to have. When returning, they locked the door on old SpongeBob and he had to chunk the candy bar through the window. Barnacle Boy explains that Mermaid Man's TV is broke and he will miss his favorite cartoon. Of course SpongeBob will try and fix it, and now we gotta find the parts on our final journey. We arrive at the unforgiving industrial parks where we find the evil Man Ray clones. He tries to throw these white balls at you, but thankfully we're locked and loaded with our jellyfish gun, and taking down the Man Ray clones was pretty simple. Next in Man Ray's lair, there were these cool geysers that shot up platforms that had to be jumped on, while also making us roll on the super cool barrels that lay waste in the industrial goo substance. I don't think SpongeBob wants to fall in that. We finally find the TV antenna, oil can, and hammer, and now we had to go into our final boss fight to get the wrench, which was the last missing piece to repair Mermaid Man's TV, and finally hopefully acquire both of their respects so we can get that signed photo for Patrick. We had to fight this weird looking and spiky sea dog looking thing, and we had to stomp on these buttons that kind of stun locked the dog, allowing us to stomp on the dog as well. This strange weird creature was pretty fast at times though, so it took me a second to take care of business. We finally destroyed the sea dog and got the wrench and began to travel back to Shady Shoals. SpongeBob the repairman fixes the TV, and the superheroes tell SpongeBob that he isn't such a bad guy after all, and that Patrick is lucky to have him. We get the signed photo and dart towards SpongeBob's house, but Mermaid Man's TV is then shown exploding. Dang, I guess SpongeBob isn't a good mechanic after all. All of the group is at SpongeBob's house for Patrick's party, and heck, Patrick doesn't even know it's his birthday. They all wish him a happy birthday and present him with a gift. Everybody says happy birthday, and they live forever grateful for this day in the gorgeous city of Bikini Bottom. Now let's get to the ratings. Enjoyment. SpongeBob has always been a huge part of my life. I know sometimes I'll reference other cartoons and games that were a big part of my childhood, but SpongeBob is the OG. Playing this was super fun. The storyline was simple, and some of the maps were surprisingly hard. I thought it would be a breeze, but I was wrong. I'll give enjoyment a B+. Map design. The map designs seem like they were strictly made for a Game Boy handheld console. The 2D maps and the slow-paced gameplay made the design of this game pretty unique when it came to the PS1 genre. The maps weren't too long or too short, and for that I'll give map design a B+. Game mechanics. Okay, here's where we have to deduct a lot of points. The mechanics were super clunky. The jellyfish net is a perfect example. When you throw the jellyfish, it goes like 2 feet in front of you, and it was horrible to use against mobs like the snails. The movement was really slow most of the time, and also I found myself jumping off a ledge not knowing where I was going to land, so that also means the camera angles were scuffed at times. I'll give game mechanics a D+. Overall, this game gets a C+ grade and a 79 out of 100 grade on the game meter, with the game mechanics being brutal at times, but the overall enjoyment was definitely a thumbs up. Well, that's all for this one. Remember to like and subscribe, and also join the Discord in the description below. And as always everyone, stay classy with the classics.